All right. So which chapter did we finish off on for you guys? Was it chapter 3? I feel like we're on chapter 3 of Ashford. I'll show you. So,
Babies.
correct. Yep. Pregnancy, birth, and the newborn. That's it. So, as social workers, we assessed the expectant parents. History of law, sense of security, work and parental leave. Here's how you get pregnant. Stages of prenatal development. So, ovum, 1 to 4 weeks. Zygote is the fertilized ovum. Implants in the uterine lining. Stages of development continued. Embryo is 2 to 7 weeks. So 90% formed, basic structures in place. Critical period, embryo is most vulnerable to the environment. So you have a lot of miscarriages at this time. Like last year we had a couple. Oh, and then the fetus is from 8 to 40 weeks. So after week 6, refinement and growth, last 2 months. And you've got placenta. We already covered all this. Umbilical cord. Go into labor for 12 to 14 hours. Cervix dilates. Second stage of labor is a few hours at most. The baby's delivered. Third stage of labor is 5 minutes after birth. The placenta's delivered. And then for the fourth is like 1 to 3 hours, recovery, family time. The golden hour is skin to skin. So you're supposed to hold the baby for both mom and dad so that they get to know. And, we got a restricted message from Giannessi Renee. Weird. Must have been an advertisement. What's the heaviest baby you guys ever heard of? And what's the lightest baby you guys ever heard of? Like, I feel like our first was 5.5 or 6.5 pounds. And then our second was like 8. I think I was 8 or 9. My mom said my little brother was 10. I bet you there's a Guinness Book of World Records too. Like it depends on how long the baby also stays in. It's like if you have it early, it'll be light. If you have it late, it'll be longer. I'm trying to find the exact slide we stopped on. But I want to see heaviest baby ever delivered. How much you want to bet to have that? You think 10? Holy shit. It's like how much our 1-year-old weighed at a year old. So in Italy, 1955? Wow. So 10, and you were the lightest at 5 pounds. Okay. Huh. Arizona woman gives birth to a 14-pounder, but that is weird. Is that?
How did he come out?
Heaviest baby survive infancy belongs to a boy weighing 22 pounds, born in Aversa, Italy in 1955. It doesn't say. These are probably more modern stories where they got pictures and stuff, and like probably this one. Arizona woman gives birth to a baby over 14 pounds. What? It's just hard to carry around with you all the time. Like I know my wife is like, I will be excited to. Right.
Yeah, but don't look like the baby is small. Oh, sometimes it'd be one baby in there. Sometimes it'd be some. Yeah, that's how it hurts. I ain't gonna lie. That one hurts. You can't even roll over. You gotta stay on one spot. Mm-hmm.
What's that? You said?
They can't even roll over. They have to stay in one spot to sleep or lay down on.
That would be crazy.
Then you gotta get up, go to the bathroom.
Right.
Put
Yeah.
on shoes. Put on pants, clothes. Mm.
All right. So that's the biggest baby. I feel like we stopped right after this. So yeah, the score and then maternal age. So yeah, most people have babies nowadays between 18 and 35. I guess we're the weird them all later, like real late. And oh, we see now we got Cherie Moore and let's see here, Beyond King. Okay. And Keith Harris Jr. So, any questions now about up to, yeah, we're talking about prenatal testing, ultrasounds, testing, birth complications. So, high risk infants, stuff that's like that. And as social workers, we need to support children and parents. That's a big part of it. And then hello, how are you?
Yeah,
Good. So any questions up to this one? Yeah,
I'm good.
because you got all your details, right? You got the, you do have a key right there. It is. Okay, yeah. So then you can take a picture and upload it.
Oh, yeah, I do that. Upload it.
If that works for you. That way you can at least keep. Y'all, is my connection or lagging? It's possible that we're lagging too. That's why I say definitely come in person. I know it's possible all of you guys have COVID, so I want to get up. It seems like it's always going around though. Like it's going to be like the common cold at this point. So definitely having a lag. All right, so we've got respiratory stuff. I know we went over that. The fetus will respond to pain, light, touch, and taste. Demonstrates habituation, mother's emotions, and way that we can work with the baby. So, like attitudes, emotions, and regulation. Yeah, we talked about colic too. So, like crying all the time. Then you've got the different newborn states. Quiet alert, active alert, crying state, drowsiness state, quiet sleep, active sleep. Infants use sleep to control their environment. So, like if I feel like adults do too, though. Like if you're like annoyed or stressed out, you guys might want to take a nap and like that way you can avoid it or ignore it, or you could be like the anxious type where you like just want to get the assignment done. You don't have to think about it. You're like done, and now I can sleep. So it could go either way. You know what I mean? Like people use different ways to control their environment. Have you guys gotten anything on trauma yet in many of your classes? Okay, good. So we had a good one that we were just watching. This is just 5 minutes, but I wanted to get back into this because it is trauma and how like raising kids, the different important stuff for raising kids. Is it cooler with the windows open or hotter with the windows open? That's what I don't know.
It's so hot outside.
I know. I feel like
I cannot believe how hot it is.
in the morning is good, but I feel like we're at the point where we should close them. So I'll start this and close them. About trauma. Because it's too hot.
Everyone in a community has a vested interest in everyone else's children, because everyone else's children determine the next adult population that makes for a successful society. Built into our biology is the need to have responsive interactions with adults.
Neglect for children is when they don't get what the brain is expecting to get, what the child is expecting to get. We are biologically prepared and waiting for, which is input from those around us.
It's this back and forth serve and return interaction that literally shapes the architecture of the brain.
Serve and return begins when a child looks at something or observes something, makes an utterance, and that represents the serve. And the return is when the parent notices the child doing these things and responds to the child.
Under conditions where serve and return is broken, you literally are pulling away what is the essential ingredient of the development of human brain architecture.
It was a really compelling series of experiments where they started by videotaping the mother and the baby engaging in cooing and smiling. And then they asked the mother to basically put on a blank face and not respond. When a baby is not attended to, that is a sign of danger to the baby biologically. So the stress systems become activated.
In a brain that is constantly bathed in stress hormones, not that's up and down, that comes with normal development. Certain
Started
key
that.
synapses, the connections
Don't
between
worry.
nerves,
Draw a line.
fail
That's
to
the
form
first
in
class.
critical regions of the brain.
Wait, what?
So
This is
neglect
intro, so
both
do
fails to
HBS.
provide the stimulation that's needed
That
to
way.
develop the basic
Who's
architecture.
watching the video?
And when
It's
it's
just
at a
5
certain
minutes.
level is one of the most potent
5
activators of the
minutes.
stress biology.
about
of the
trauma.
child.
No,
So you get the double whammy.
So we're covering trauma and neglect. And like right after you're born. So like the need to be fed, the need to be cared for. And if you're not, you guys have some. It is hot in here. That's why I opened that door. Because somebody had the windows open is probably okay in the morning times, but
Okay, so you said go on.
it's like 80 outside right now, right? It's too hot.
No, it's not 80. It's damn near 100.
That
I
feels
walked out
like
and
temperature.
I was boiling. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it is definitely getting hot. But we're going into finishing up chapter 3 here.
C-O.
Baby's
You are.
born.
Girl.
She spelled your
please
name
get
wrong
fucking
again.
off it. No, she aggravating.
So yeah, the video is covering like trauma. Healthy babies need support and stimulation in the home. Some social workers have an intervention program that we have to do, like Help Me Grow, or there's an intervention that can help provide support education, and you'll see in the second half of this video some of the things they do. And then there could be cultural differences among newborns. You guys think you've ever observed any of those between African American, white, or Latino babies? You think there's different ways we all raise each other's babies?
Yeah. I worked at daycare, so I know.
So what are your observations, just to give quick?
Not to be racist.
Stick to the facts. Yeah, so
All white people don't with their kids.
they're done with them?
They don't whoop their kids.
Oh, they
Their
don't
kids,
whoop 'em.
that's why
Right.
their kids
Okay.
bad. They don't really know.
And that's why they're bad?
Latinos think they I don't know. Well, I remember she whooped us.
So that's the main one, like discipline part, where, and there's still some good research on spanking, believe it or not.
You with your kids?
What right now, I got my ass kicked. I remember that. Like I would get sometimes even the metal side of the belt. Like I remember getting for real beat. But nowadays it's so like touchy feely. Like people are afraid to get 241 kids called on them. They'll be like, oh, it's okay. And you like handle them with kids gloves, but there has to be discipline, I mean, mine are 1-2 now, so they're not even. I mean, I think we've been talking about that because she's kicking the crap out of her little brother.
Yeah, pop her on her, give her a pop her on her head. You gotta do it to her because she's little. Give her a nice little pop on her head.
Like,
no, not that.
Okay, so that is difference, cultural differences among newborns. So that's some of the stuff that comes up. And then here's the second half of that video about healthy babies. So this is on trauma specifically and like how trauma affects babies' development. Like if we ignore them, a good example is like with the heroin epidemic, say you're shooting dope and you pass out, so then your kids only see like that, like all day. That could be a problem. Like they're not learning anything, they're not knowing how to talk, they aren't being talked to, stuff like that. So that's where like alcoholism and heroin epidemic have affected some relationships and why they get involved with 241 kids. So there's only 3 minutes left on this video. It's about trauma.
Science points to 4 categories of this spectrum of neglect. The first category would be what's called occasional inattention, where children experience responsiveness most of the time, but occasionally adults don't respond. There's no harm in that, and in fact, there's probably some benefit.
A child can learn to self-soothe and explore the environment, and all of those opportunities build brain architecture.
The second category, scientists would call chronic understimulation, is where on a regular basis, children have less interaction with the adults around them than is needed for healthy development.
Those children typically, when provided with enriched learning opportunities and more typical levels of serve and return, will show catch up.
So those are some of the things you can do with your kid, like puzzles, talking to them, teaching them different colors, whatnot. I know nowadays we rely on electronics heavily, so I think there's even an age cutoff where they say you should or should not show kids like tablets and whatnot. I said never until the age of 2, but recently they even said any age is okay now. So what do you guys think?
I know my brother doesn't want his other baby watch like Cocomelon and that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just because he thinks it's like dumb
It's
or
addictive.
right? Yeah. So it is. Yeah. What's up with Cocomelon? Because I feel like
that like the attention span is like the same as like a drug. The scenes move too fast, and it shows like the stimulation of like a drug. And that's why it's not good for kids.
So what does he do instead?
Entertainers.
Right, like constant though. So like he doesn't even get up on his phone like this.
They don't
Like
put the phone in front of her.
what's that?
They don't put the phone in front of her.
Okay. Then when he gets a message, how does he do? I guess he checks his phone when he's taking a leak or whatever. He's just like.
So I'm saying like he don't let her like watch videos and stuff like to like make her calm down like nothing.
Okay. So, and then you guys see the first 2 categories of possible neglect, very common in America too, is like we have so many distractions. And you saw that little baby sitting in front of the TV. That was kind of crazy. These are the second 2, like severe neglect and then severe in institutional settings like orphanages.
The third category is what science would call severe neglect in a family where not only are there prolonged periods of inattention and lack of responsiveness, but often also associated with not being fed enough, not being bathed enough, not having basic needs met.
Neglect is a huge problem in the U.S. Children are much more likely to be neglected than they are to experience any other kind of maltreatment.
We see the child really being at risk for much more substantial kinds of deficits down the road that don't necessarily get easily fixed or ameliorated. This is where we really need to think about more complicated and often more intensive strategies to help undo those effects.
The fourth category, called severe neglect, generally found in institutional settings, is a result of children living in kind of warehouse type situation in orphanages.
And it doesn't have to even be as extreme as orphanages. It can be experiences that are regretfully occurring in many, many parts of our country.
Often institutional care in this country is under the euphemistic name of transitional care or temporary care or assessment facilities.
If you think about what institutional or residential care would look like for an infant, where there's somebody new coming onto the shift every 8 hours, it really alters the development of the child's brain architecture and other aspects of the child's development.
We have the potential to change children's developmental trajectories.
Interventions can apply to parents, to foster parents or adoptive parents, childcare settings, Head Start settings, and other kinds of settings. And really, what they're about is attuning people to the serve and return process.
Neglecting young children is neglecting the foundations of a healthy next generation. The community pays a huge price later in terms of.
So what they're showing there is like self-soothing. If we don't learn how to do it, or if we experience a trauma, it could be as simple as neglect or like not getting exposure. We can self-soothe with cigarettes. We can self-soothe with food, sex, alcohol, heroin, so different things, even video games, gambling, some healthy ones that can be unhealthy, like exercise and etc. So that's what they're trying to show here.
The problems of the next generation, whether it be educational achievement, economic productivity, good citizenship, the ability to parent the next generation, all of the things that have to do with a healthy, prosperous society.
So that's just like a quick 5-minute intro. We've got so much research going on right now about trauma. I'm actually surprised in copyright infringement. Is that seems a Harvard video seems like it would have like a strong copyright, but we use these for educational purposes only. And getting to infant mortality rates. Have you guys heard anything in your area about infant mortalities? Did you know in the Midwest we have the worst infant mortality rate out of like the entire country? Like the most die. Well, here you go. Rates of infant mortality are higher than most developed nations. Mortality rates were 6% for white infants, 14% for black infants, and the Hispanic infant is similar to whites.
What do it mean though?
They die.
Oh, it's probably because people crazy. You know, people make killing their kids.
Right. So that's a piece of it. It says the primary reason for death among white infants was congenital abnormalities, and for African Americans was low birth rate. So the question, like, what contributes to these differences? It could be a food desert. I mean, we've talked about food deserts. What are some policy implications? Like, how do we fix it with like government policy or social work interventions or things like that?
I mean, if it's a food desert, I feel like the only issue is like you make, well, not you, but like I feel like you should make food stamps more accessible.
Well, then how about the food that the cost of that food in the past? Do you know how much inflation has been? Like it's been bad. They just came out with the euro numbers. Okay, here's more recent stats. So low birth weight, congenital maternal complications, and this is straight from minorityhealth.hhs.gov, sudden infant death syndrome, and then accidents like an unintentional injury. So those are some of the stuff that they've documented. So a big thing we do in Cincinnati, a campaign, is called the ABCs. You guys ever heard of ABC for babies in the crib, how you put them down? So it's alone, back, and crib. I think that's what it's supposed to be. Is if you put a bunch of blankets in and they're like young enough and maybe
After they warm.
because they can like get all stuffed in it and like smother to death, or like if you sleep with them, you could also roll over, and that's a difficult one. So here, maybe we'll have an explanation here. But overall in the United States, it is very high. Just in general. Maybe we have more distractions. Maybe we've got the TV. Oh, really? Come on, dude. Never mind. I thought I'd get you a nice little short minute video, but let's try this one instead. Be like, for $19.99. If they're too loud out there, we can close, but I was trying to get the air conditioning to come in here. The wind. Oh, are you serious? Ask me later. How about that?
Jadacy Shepherd is now a part of a support group she never thought she'd have to join.
So when I held them, I just remember just staring off, just kind of in the daze, like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And my baby is here, but he's not alive.
The first time mother gave birth to a stillborn baby 30 weeks into her pregnancy last year. The pain of losing a child led Shepherd and her husband to research infant mortality rates. The data they found was concerning.
I had no idea this was going on with our Black babies at all. I had no idea. And then when I went to look for help and concern with women of color, just having these dead children, it literally broke my heart.
According to a Florida Department of Health study, for every 1,000 births, 11.26 Black babies died in 29 deaths for every 1,000 births. Now, while numbers show a slight decrease in Black babies dying over an 11-year period, the numbers are still significantly high. It's a deeply troubling statistic organizations like the Healthy Start Coalition are working to eliminate.
When you look at the numbers, Black babies literally die about 2 times more than their white counterparts. That has actually gone down because a few years ago it was 3 times, but the disparity remains that Black babies die more than any other baby.
So why are more Black babies dying compared to other races? This department study lists 5 of the leading causes of deaths for newborns. But neonatologist Dr. Terry Ashmead says there's more to it than that. She says it starts with the care the mother receives.
It's not like a Black baby is more likely to have complications associated with prematurity than a white baby based on the fact that they're Black. That's not really the case. I think they're at higher risk for being premature in the first place because of the impact of racism on their mother's physiology.
That's why Carol Alexander's Next Step Center in this predominantly Black St. Petersburg neighborhood is working to empower mothers and teach them how to advocate for themselves and their babies.
If they are at a doctor's office or some provider, to be able to say, well, I expressed this, but I don't think I've received an answer that satisfies me or that speaks to what my situation is. How does this impact my pregnancy? What are some of the things that I could expect if this continues?
And while Alexander and Kimberly Brown Williams both say the consensus among Black expectant mothers is they don't feel heard by their doctors, a new study proposes another factor. It shows Black infants treated by white physicians are more likely to die compared to being treated by a Black doctor.
The raw mortality rate for a white newborn sample is 289 per 100,000 births. Right? For Black newborns, it's 784 per 100,000. So that's roughly 3 times as many.
That study, conducted by professors from George Mason University and Harvard, examined infant deaths in Florida from 1992 to 2015. And while there's no clear solution to the problem, one of the study's researchers, Brad Greenwood, says acknowledging there is a problem is the first step. It's a problem Shepherd and her husband hope can be resolved for other Black families just like theirs. The couple welcomed a baby boy earlier this year and have plans to continue to their family. Sandra Weather, Spectrum News 9.
So that's Florida. Anybody here from Florida? I know we had one student in the last class. But as you see, there's lots of different articles up about that and abstracts and different different causes. This one probably zeroes in on the alone back in crib because accidental deaths tripled in this 16-year period here. So that's why they're pushing. If you put your baby in the crib, it's supposed to be alone and then on its back. If you put it on the face down, it could like smother just by, covering up its nose.
Although sudden infant death syndrome has been on decline, a new study shows that infant deaths from accidental suffocation and strangulation in bed more than tripled in the U.S. between 1999 and 2016, with increases in racial inequalities. Researchers from FAU Schmidt College of Medicine and collaborators have published their findings in the Maternal and Child Health Journal. They found similar risk factors for non-Hispanic Black and white infants, though in every instance, rates in Black infants were higher than those of whites. All increases over time were statistically significant. Between 2007 and 2016, 83% of all U.S. deaths in bed among non-Hispanic Black and white infants occurred to mothers who lived in the Midwest and the South at the time of delivery.
So there's some of those. Anybody have questions or comments about some of this? So in Cincinnati, this is kind of some of the billboards we're putting up. The ABC's new safe sleep guidelines for reinforcing putting baby to bed on the back, because that's how they can smother. Like if they're that way, see how they're face down, covering up their mouth and their nose. That used to be the way they said to lay them down, though. That's what's so weird. I don't know why. So I'll do one last. This one's like a quick ABC thing here. Oh, it's on Facebook. Look at that. Interesting.
And I serve as the executive director of Celebrate One. At Celebrate One, we focus on 3 goals: reducing prematurity, eliminating preventable sleep-related deaths, and connecting the disconnected. Too many babies die in unseen.
Every community member should know the ABCs of safe sleep, and they should share that message with everyone who has a baby or is in touch with a baby under 12 months of age. And so the ABCs, again, are baby sleep alone on their back in an empty crib, and they should share the room and not the bed. We must change the outcome for families in Central Ohio now and for years to come.
So, any questions on that one and the slides? So there, is social risk factor number 1 is poverty. So just like the food deserts we mentioned, the resources, domestic violence is another huge one. So 1 in 4 women are physically abused during pregnancy. Have you guys ever heard that stat? Like they're more likely to abuse. Going over this in the first, why is it so hard to see it? I don't know why we found it interesting, but it was a slide somebody had shared with me, a stalking presentation from, yep.
I have a question. You don't really have to do with this, but is it a time set out where you can look at our genogram and tell us if we're on the right path?
Yeah, I can.
Before it's on training?
I can check it out right after class.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. As I feel like you guys still have like another day or 2 or 3. Right. Liz, I feel like you guys still have like another day or 2 or 3. Right. So the key is the 3 generations. Any.
Okay, so I have a question. So grandparents, parents, then us.
Like
Then us.
you and your brothers and sisters, you could add their kids if you got nieces and nephews. I know that would be a 4th generation, but just all the information necessary. And the reason being, so when you guys become social workers, you know how to do it yourself, and you can do a genogram with your client because it tells you so much about a person like you assess them and you hear like there was a history of alcoholism or addiction, or if there's like college graduates or cancer. Yeah.
Okay, so like if it was like a history of like addiction or anything, we just put that on there.
Yeah. We'll
Should
keep
we
them
put it
confidential.
to people, or should we just do it like just as a note? We do it like emergency.
However you feel comfortable with the confidentiality. Some people just do like a key, like A for addiction, D for diabetes.
Or I just color mine different colors and then put the different colors.
So however you do it. I mean, I'm not going to say there's one set way, but just cover a few generations, as many people as you can. All of the pros and cons, like finished college, divorced, married, had 5 children, all of the details. And that's to help you with your stuff, you know, like when you become a social worker, just to what's that? Well, you do as much as you can. I mean, as I get it, it's hard to know a lot of info. I understand.
Really stressing about this. Like I haven't even started it. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it.
You'll be okay. Have you looked at any other videos on genograms?
I have. I watched the one that you showed us in class, but I just
Because they're so detailed.
It was a bit stressful. Yeah. I think it's because my family, like I know very little about them. Or if I don't know very little, like, okay, so when I started to do like with my great grandparents, just so it won't look bland, because it looks really bland. So I started to put all this, and I'm like, ooh, they all got too many kids, and I'm supposed to put they kid with they kid. And
So as much as you can remember, like obviously I'm not going to like look up your family history and be like, dude, why'd you miss this? But the idea is to know thyself. And like, that's a whole part of becoming a counselor and a social worker. Like if I know myself and I take care of myself, I can then take care of others. If I don't know stuff about me or what causes me to be who I am and be, it's harder to do that, if that makes any sense. Want to watch another video on a genogram?
I'm probably just gonna start with my grandparents to figure out what I know about my dad's dad. I don't know.
Okay, and that's fine. Like I said, as much as you can get. Don't stress about it. It should be fun. It really should be fun.
You always
so don't be stressed.
Today I'll be going through how to do a basic genogram. These can be very confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's very straightforward and can be done very quickly.
Hey, there you go.
The thing to always remember is that people don't exist in isolation. So thinking of a patient, particularly children, as part of a family system is very important, especially when considering how they may fare outside of the hospital environment. And it's always important to try to gain information of at least 3 generations worth of data for a family. First things first, identify if your patient is male or female or other. Here we have a patient that is female, and the larger size and double line of their symbol indicates that they are the patient. The number of symbols represent the age of the patient.
So again, all the details that you can and try to enjoy it. Don't stress about it. You know what I mean? Like make it a learning, knowing thing about you.
Edging upward, we have the genetic parents. We also have their ages listed, and on downward stems, we have the birth dates for quick reference. And then here we have a younger sibling, also branching off the parent.
Again, as much info as you want to put in there. Don't stress. Those are the ages. So right. I might be able to. Yeah. Yeah. It was the first thing that popped up when I just searched genogram and videos in YouTube, but I will. So if you put the year born, that's fine. If you put the age, however you decide, like think of it as artistic quality. Like you're going to be an artist and you're going to draw a picture. It does not have to be identical to everybody else's. It just gives you an idea, the client an idea. And if you know how to do yours, you can show your client how to do theirs.
Parents shared stem there. Then, of course, in terms of ongoing relationships, we need to know if the parents are still together, separated, reconciled, or living together. As you can see, there are annotations on the shared line that show the chronology of the parents' relationship. Here we have a double line that represents the divorce between the genetic parents. Now we have an adjunct drawn on.
Dang, so they married in 97. Maybe they had the 16-year-old in 98. Then the 14-year-old maybe in 2000 or 2001. but separated in 2003 and then took 2 years to divorce. So that's how they decide to detail it. Again, you guys are the artists, so you decide how to draw it. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously as much as you put into it is how much you'll get out of it too. So enjoy it. Don't stress.
One that represents a new family. The father now has a new partner, living together since 2010. And they also have a daughter that is 3 years old. As you can see, the symbols are very consistent in how they are arranged between families. Then, of course, it's very useful to have the third generation to give a better indication of patterns of behaviour and things of note that have occurred in families generationally. Here we have a half-shaded cell on the paternal grandfather symbol. That can represent a physical or psychological illness.
Because that looks tiny. That's 3 generations right there, but that's tiny. Mine is huge as I have 8 aunts and uncles. What's that? Right. So it can be as simple as this, but also getting as much info as you can. Like I've got 8 aunts and uncles on my mom's side, 6 aunts and uncles on my dad's side, some alcoholism and cancer and even mental illness. And then all of my siblings have 2 children. There's 5 of us. And then my wife is from 7. And they all have kids. So it depends on what you were brought up with. This looks like your normal millennial Americans that only have like 1 or 2 kids. And that's just okay. Anybody have big families here? So again, don't stress about it. Try to enjoy it. You know, you can make fun of your siblings on it if you want to too. It's just like up to you.
Here we have an annotation of BPAD, which represents a bipolar affective disorder, which can be particularly important if you want to see trends in families, particularly where there is a genetic component of any condition. And then how relationships are represented. The zigzag line shared between the paternal grandparents signifies a hostile relationship. Meanwhile, a relationship with an endpoint arrow represents that a person is particularly focused on another person. So here the mother is particularly focused on the younger brother. An X over a symbol denotes whether or not a person is deceased. It can also be useful if available to include the cause. Of course, it's always good to know where your patient resides. Larger circles encompassing the symbols represent households. Here they live with the mother and her parents, which can be important to consider when assessing the level of support they have at home.
So like they got divorced, they moved in with mom and dad. So she's 41, divorced, lives with her mom who's 65 and her dad who's 72. And then also has the 14, 16-year-old there. And that's very common in America, especially with the dang cost of living nowadays. Like you'll have 3 to 4 generation households because it's so expensive.
It's also very important to have some characteristics of your patient available for quick reference. Here down the side of the genogram, we list their top 3 stressors and vulnerabilities. Stressors being acute type changes that may have precipitated the admission, while the vulnerabilities are more long-standing issues that may perpetuate admissions. So I hope that's been helpful. In terms of just representing the patient's family quickly and efficiently, this is probably all you need. So thanks for your time and all the best.
What's that? So it seems and can feel like it's stressful, and I completely understand. And do you guys see why this would be helpful to like know this about the client you're working with or the family or the people? That's kind of why we do our own. I didn't do mine until graduate school, but I feel like they weren't a big thing until then. Any questions further about the genogram? Oh yeah, you can buy software. I don't expect you guys to do that. The genogram maker, pay somebody $100 to make it. You know, you just type in. That's what I'm saying. You can draw this yourself, and it's not that hard. I guess mine up there. I kind of see like the backgrounds of some of mine, but it helped me to know stuff about my very own family. And so no other questions about that part? How to make your genogram? Here's one more minute. I'm looking for the shortest video I can find. Here you go. Probably doesn't have talking. We're just going to sketch it. Married couple and divorced. Individuals become married on the rings, engagement, legal separation. This one's like getting deep in detail about just if you're married, engaged, separated, divorced, or whatever. So that's some stuff you can use. Oh, they got all this crap in Word. Damn. I am not that good, so I wouldn't know how to do this. Maybe some of you guys are that good, and that's great. Is this Word or the Genogram Maker? Dang. So that's a little bigger one.
They're looking so detailed. Mine just looking.
It's okay. And the cool part is you can always go back and add some things too. And if you do add it, you can upload another photo. It's not the end of the world, but like it's kind of the key point of this assignment. So
Mine, I don't know. My grandparents were like never married. They like had babies before. So it's like I just put like a little heart to show if they had a baby together. Because I would say like they were married or they got separated.
Right.
It probably look confusing, but oh well.
It makes sense to you, which is important, you know, and it is a way that we communicate to our people we work with. And here's another minute one, so they probably don't talk. Medical genogram. So they use it in biology and heredity. Like, oh, this has like dominant gene and healthy person, cancer carrier person. So they use these in all types of professions. Like this is something you'll hear about everywhere, and we definitely.
See, somebody looked at my assignment and was like, "What are you in middle school?" I was like, first of all,
Oh, right.
important work. Thank
Right.
you.
Well, and so you may then have taken the opportunity to explain it to them. Yeah. And it is a little more than a family truth. I've looked up. Have you done E3Me or whatever the heck that is? I'm scared of doing this. They sell your data and like, I wouldn't do it. But so those are a few of the things that you could do. Why it's so important, you know, there's plenty. This is used like in graduate school, and I think there's research on the genogram. So say you go into Google Scholar. I've never done this. This is pushing it now. Genogram. I bet you there's all kinds of, well, this sounds more professional. Let's do that. So there's the research on it. If they want to talk shit, here's all the it's for real. Like that's some legit research sites that you can pull up full text. Detail why it's important. There's like the brief of the study. It's derivative, widely used in marriage and family therapy, other mental health disciplines, social work, medicine. After a brief history of the origins of family diagram and genogram, several different areas to help distinguish differences between family diagrams and genograms. The results of these evaluation, divergent theoretical perspective, and he wrote 13 pages on it. So goes to show, here's another full text. I love when they have full text in here because I was in graduate school. This came out in the mid 90s, and that's when I started college, and I started grad school in like 99 or 2000. So if they did want to see peer-reviewed research on a genogram, here it is. Talk shit as much as you want, but it's still used for real. Like it's and it's simple enough that it could be used with a grade schooler and a kindergartner. Yeah. So that is the cool part about it, about their mom or dad. Well, mom hits dad. Okay, so mom's been arrested before, you know, like just details that come out about the family. And it's like you can use that to work with them and help them live their best life. So, and it's always used in family assessment. Now we all pop the top of our Pringles. So any questions on those? Pretty much. So
Chapter 1 in the book, or
this one is 3.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna read it.
Because there is a ton. I feel like I sent you that one, as we've been working on that one only for this long. Right. Correct. And we're only on infancy. You see that? We're already in week 3, but we're only on infancy. There's a few others about that in hbse 2. Like, why do we look at the human behavior in the social environment? What are some of the theory behind it, cohorts, risk factors, and things of that nature. We did cover some of the stuff about trauma, and even I know a lot of you guys have seen
Chief Human Resources
not that one.
Officer.
That's
Chief
weird.
Stop Treating Humans Like Resources Officer.
Chief Transformation
Too many words. I know some of you guys have seen this. Have all of you seen these series yet? If you had me in class, you probably have. It's specific to, again, adolescents growing up. If the child's removed, there's a 3-part series of kids. And there's a lot of details of the foster cares. We're getting into some, they go all over foster adoption. Anybody exposed to foster care and adoption, or work with it, or want to work with it? Any of the above? We just got a grant here that if you do your internship in child welfare, it's a $5,000 stipend during your internship, your senior year. What's that? For your senior year, though. But you guys, what's that?
I'm supposed to be a senior right now, but I'll be a senior in May.
Oh, okay, right. So, and Nikita will help you. Our field director is in charge of finding the internships with you guys. So when you register for it, you will get it. I keep forgetting. For some reason, I feel like you're a first year, but it's just your first year here.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Foster care and adoption.
I'm not probably gonna end up dealing with it, but that's not like.
Yeah, I'm with kids, just a guidance counselor.
Yeah. And it's good to do that internship, not only because it's paid, and I only got mileage when I got internship. I didn't get paid anything. You get mileage for putting gas in your car. But you can see if you want to do that type of work or not. And if you do want to do that type of work, they give a $5,000 sign-on bonus for when you graduate to work with CPS. So there's both of those incentives. But it's tough work. I'll finish with this video because, yeah, we'll still finish early. 6 minutes.
Hey, next door neighbor called it in, said she heard screaming, yelling, banging on the wall for about 20 minutes, and suddenly it stopped. Yeah, he beat her up pretty good. Let's see. Good.
Hi, girls.
I know, it's sad.
Hi, girls. My name's Miss Hannah. What's your name?
Jessica.
And what's your name?
Her name is Livy.
You know what, Livy? I have a sister named Olivia. Is your name short for Olivia?
Yes.
Well, it's really nice to meet you. I work for the Department of Family and Children's Services, and my job is to make sure you're safe, okay?
I want to see my mom.
Mommy's at the doctor, and they're going to help her feel better so you can see her again, okay? Do you have any other family we can call? Maybe grandmother or aunt?
No, Grammy died.
Okay. Well, I have some really nice friends named Mark and Stacy, and they love kids, and you can stay with them until your mom gets better. Okay? Do you have anything special we can get her?
She said he's funny. He's funny.
Benjamin never was into any stuffed animals, though.
Yeah. Cuddle with a football.
He is his dad's son. I feel so bad for them, though. She said they don't have anything from their home. You think they'll be too far down the hall from us? I wonder if they even have any pajamas or...
Honey. It's gonna be fine.
Figure it out.
Okay.
Hey,
there, girls. Hey. Hi there, girls. I'm Mark.
Okay, Libby. He's really nice.
Hi, girls. I'm Stacy, and this is my son, Benjamin. He just told me that he wanted to get a snack. Would you girls like to come get a snack? Okay, come on.
It may take some time, but they'll warm up to you.
We'll do what we can to make them comfortable. Do they have any bags or anything?
They really don't have anything. You need to make an appointment with the Foster Care Support Foundation. It's what they do. They provide for kids that come into care with nothing. It happens quite often.
Well, this is great. Thank you so much.
Let me know what else I can do.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Everything okay?
She wants Blueberry, but we couldn't find him.
Oh, I'm sorry you couldn't find your friend, okay? But tomorrow I can take you to a special place where you can get any type of stuffed animal that you want. Would you like that? Okay. Have a good night, okay?
Highway around the Atlantic, writing down these last 17 years. Radio, Max is romantic. It's lullabies fill our eyes with tears. We don't say a word. There's nothing to say that hasn't been heard. How you've grown, my little bird. I'm regretting letting you fly.
So this one's, I didn't want to be redundant and show you guys removed, but because I've shown it to like most people that have had my class. These are a really good series if you have a chance to watch them. They go 1, 2, and then 3. They're really well made. They're like a lot. I feel like the one that we just watched is fine, but these seem to have actual cinematographers and people that are making the videos. I know most of you had me.
Let's talk
It
about
is.
BetterHelp.
It is. And it's like, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And the third one is another kid that was like 22. So if enough of you haven't watched them for next time, which will be next week,
You don't remember.
we're welcome to watch. I just don't want to be redundant because I feel like a lot of you guys have seen it already. Okay. All right. So we can look into it for next week. I know we're right at the end. Any questions? Because we're putting you all into the weekend, I think.
I messaged you on Twitter. Tuesday to see if we had class. You did not message me back, so I did not.
Until yesterday.
Yeah.
So email is the best way to get me. D2L, I see them.
I thought she was gonna send out a message like, "Hey, my surgery was fine. I'm gonna be
Right.
But I was like, "Can I take this lecture?" Like, yeah, she did not know we had class.
Right. I'm not going to be all pissed at you guys right there. It's okay. So yeah, I actually had 3 things. I had a cyst removed. They're making sure it's not cancerous Friday. 2 teeth drilled into to save, what do they call that thing? Canal, Monday, Friday, Monday. And then I had a kidney stone Tuesday and yesterday. I rock it out. I do not. So I heal quickly. Whatever I do, I heal quickly. But yeah, sometimes showing up is like 90% of it. It really is. So. I know, right?